So you've either just bought a subcompact tractor or you're in the market for a subcompact tractor. Now, a subcompact tractor is going to be about 25 horsepower or less. They're not going to need tier 4 emission type stuff. So you're not going to have the DPF or any type of regen on it because the horsepower of the engine doesn't require that by federal law here in America. But if you're overseas, your requirements may be different. But what are the true costs of owning a subcompact tractor? Because there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking at buying a subcompact tractor, and it just ain't the tractor that you're going to have to be worried about. There's some things that we're going to talk about in this video where there's some costs that you need to consider and what you're going to use the tractor for, how you're going to use the tractor. So we're going to dive into it and see exactly what are the true hidden costs of owning a subcompact tractor. Right off the bat is the cost of the machine, right? So this one right here is about 3 years old, somewhere around in there, maybe 4 years old. And at the time it was less than $10,000, but now it's going to run about $12,000 for this particular type setup. Now, some of the costs that you can look at when you're buying a subcompact tractor is, can I add a belly mower? So you can see the hitches here. This is a pin that will actually allow you to put a belly mower onto this and use it as a lawnmower, and you have the ability to control what PTO shaft you have from the rear, rear mid, and the mid PTO, right? And so, you know, this simply changes those options there. I do not have that option on this particular machine, but if you do, that's a cost that you need to factor in when you're purchasing the machine. Do I need to use it as a lawnmower or a tractor? Because a lot of people will say this is just a glorified lawnmower, right? And that's not the case. You can get a lot of work done with this. But anyway, are you going to add a mid-mount belly mower? That's an option that you need to consider. So this subcompact model here is the TYM T224. If it looks familiar to you, it probably should, because there's many manufacturers, makes and models that are exactly the same as this one. They just changed the stickers. The RK25 is the same as this. The Mahindra has one. The Legacy Branson has one. So it's the exact same tractor. They just put different stickers on them and call it whatever their brand is, right? So not only is the mid-mount mower an additional expense that you have to consider, and it's kind of a hidden cost because you're hey, I want a subcompact tractor. Oh, you mean I got to pay extra for the mid-mount mower? So take that into consideration. But there's also things at the front that you have to consider when you're buying these subcompact tractors that may make your life easier as a tractor owner. And that is whether or not you opt for two things on the front. Number one being a third function. Now the third function, the lines would come here. It would mount to the cross member frame of the loader arms here, and you would have hydraulic connections here, so you can do things like a grapple. Most common thing, it would be a grapple, right? So that would go there. This tractor does not have a third function available on it, so it does not have that option, but that would have been an extra cost should I have decided to go with that. Also, being that this tractor is like 4 years old, 3 or 4 years old, I did not get the skid steer quick attach for the front loader. So this bucket that I have on here is pinned on and it's stationary. So that's it. I can't put pallet forks on it. I can't put a grapple on it. There's nothing I can put on there except a bucket. So I don't have any additional cost associated with the front loader because I did go with a stationary bucket or a pin-on bucket versus the skid steer quick attach. Now, if you're buying a newer model, these skid steer quick attach are usually standard. But when I got this particular model back 3 or 4 years ago, I had an option and I chose not to get the quick attach option. And to be honest with you, that was a bad idea. I should have got the quick attach, but you live and learn, right? As we talk more about this subcompact tractor, I got to thinking, I showed you guys and we'll get back to the subcompact tractor here in a sec. I showed you guys my tailgate from my truck that I smashed with my gooseneck trailer. And you talking about ownership, cost of ownership, unexpected hidden cost of ownership when you have to make a big repair to an expensive truck. You know, I got the tailgate fixed, and the only reason I mention this in this video is because a couple people ask about it, right? But something else about this, the bed of this truck I want to talk about real quick. I just want to jump in and talk about the cargo valet at thecargovalet.com. Look, all that jug back there slid all the way to the back of the bed. Well, when I install this, that's not going to happen again. If you have a tonneau cover, a tonneau cover, this is going to prevent things like fuel cans, golf clubs, groceries, firewood bundles, all that from going all the way to the front of your bed, and you have difficulty accessing it or getting it out of the bed when you need to access it. Now, a lot of you will be like, oh, well, I can just put a 2x4 across there and do that. And that's fine, you can, for sure. But some beds don't have the 2x4 cutouts in them, and if you use a 2x4, you only have a 4-inch high thing. Well, but now I can put 2 bundles of firewood up here, whatever the case may be. Let's get this installed and put on the truck. thecargovalet.com. Small husband and wife team out of North Carolina. Let's get it installed. All right, to get started, all you got to do is identify the proper side of the truck bed with a template. Put the templates on here, drill your top hole, screw that first screw in, then put a level on it, and then put your second screw in. So install the 2-inch nylon straps into the Cargo Valet slots and just pull all the way through, and then run the tag in through the loop on the side of the unit. Now do this for both sides. Now pull it tight, and now it's completely adjustable. You just tighten it and loosen it as much as you want, and run it through that buckle system here on the side of the truck, and you're good to go. I can throw a camp chair in there. I can throw my boots in there. I'm excited about putting this water jug, because I'm always fighting that water jug. And if I need more space, it's adjustable right here. I can just loosen up the strap, and it can go further back. And check out how easy it is to unload with the cargo. Is that not clever? You tell them the make and model of your truck, they send you the Cargo Valet that fits your particular truck. I'm excited about it. I know, like I say, hey, I'll make it for $20. Yeah, okay, we'll go make it for $20. The rest of us will buy one that's already made that's higher quality. Okay, you guys go check out thecargovalet.com. Small business out of North Carolina, American-made product. I appreciate them letting us get a chance to use it. You're also going to have accessories that you can add to your tractor. So this is a rhino hide canopy from GoodWorks Tractors, not sponsored, but there's a canopy that you can add. A lot of people add like golf cart tops. A lot of people will make their own, but a canopy is an accessory that is super, super handy, especially if you live in the South like we do, or I shouldn't say the South, especially if you live somewhere that's sunshiny and hot and all that good stuff, because that canopy keeps the sun off of you and makes it a little easier to work with at night. So, and that accessory is going to add an additional cost that you didn't consider after you have purchased a tractor. We are talking about accessories and additional add-ons and stuff like that, but there are costs that are not like accessories or whatever, or attachments or components, and that is your insurance. A lot of people will opt not to put insurance on these things. Now, you don't have to have insurance on them, because unless you're using it in a business, right? And then if you're a business owner, you're going to want to put that insurance to cover that tractor and the operator on that tractor. So that's a hidden cost when you need to think about, am I buying this to do lawn care maintenance with? Am I buying it to do kind of cleanup jobs with, with a dump trailer or something? So that hidden cost is that insurance that you're going to have to deal with. One good thing about these type tractors is they don't break a lot, right? Now, I did have leaky front axles on this one, and it's about a $450 repair to get the front axles put on this. That includes the parts to repair it, and that also includes the shop labor. But generally speaking, if you don't use these things like super, super bad, or like a bulldozer or whatever, these things generally don't break. These things, you can get so much use out of these things, and you can work them really, really hard, and they're going to stand up to whatever you put them to the test with. But I mean, don't get me wrong, everything has its limits, right? So don't go out there and try to think it's a 55 horsepower tractor or 75 horsepower tractor. It's a subcompact tractor, and it's not going to do those tasks that the bigger tractors will do. But with that being said, generally speaking, these things are not prone to break, right? The front axle seals leaked on this one. It's 100 and some odd hours on it, maybe 130 hours on it. So that was a little disappointing. But after a $450 repair, my suspicion is that they won't leak again ever. Let's hope not, right? And we put, the thing about the maintenance being inexpensive on these things is because most people that buy these type machines, these subcompact tractors, they're only going to put like 40 to 50 hours a year on these things. So they don't get used a lot. So they're going to be for the small landowner, the homeowner that doesn't, they have an acre, maybe 5 acres, something like that, where they're using it for around the house. You will have the occasional small business owner that would use it for, cleaning up things at the job site or whatever. But that's uh that's the exception rather than the rule, I guess you would say. So the maintenance costs on these, you're going to have your 50-hour service, you're going to have your oil changes, you're going to have your hydraulic changes and filter changes, but generally speaking, that's not a hidden cost. You know that you're going to have to maintain it. So consider that when you're looking at these subcompact tractors. Another cost associated with them is what implements are you going to put on the back? It's a hidden cost because you don't know what you're going to pay for your implements, right? A box blade may be $600 or it may be $1,200. You don't know that. So until you go out and you start shopping for whatever box blade that you want. So, people put a landscape rake on the back, a land plane on the back, a stump grinder on the back. Whatever the case may be, you don't know how much that's going to cost you until you get the machine that you want and you understand the implements that you're going to need for your particular situation. So, adding the cost of these implements, bush hog, whatever, that's going to drive the cost of owning this subcompact tractor up. And you need to factor into all that stuff, because if you don't, you'll be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I needed to spend, $2,500 on a bush hog. Something else a lot of people have to consider is, are they going to fill the tires with some type of liquid ballast? Now in Florida, it doesn't get cold or doesn't get below freezing for, if it gets below freezing, it's only for a day, maybe something like that. It's not sustained frozen weather. So I can put water in here and be fine with that for my liquid ballast. Now there's rim guard, there's beet juice, there's antifreeze, there's windshield washer fluid. There's all kind of ways to get liquid ballast into your tires. You can call your co-op, you can call a rim guard dealer that will come out there. Your dealer may be able to do that for you. But this is super, super important to do for a subcompact tractor, because normally these things are so light, it needs that ballast to kind of perform the functions that it's designed to do. So if you put a ballast box on the back or put tires, loaded weight in your tires, that's going to help you significantly when you're using this tractor to do what all you need it to do and push it to its limits without breaking it. One thing that these little tractors or subcompact tractors don't offer, or the majority of them don't offer, are like many, many accessories. Like literally, this one just has a 12-volt accessory right here and one cup holder. It does have a grab handle here to get on, but if you're going to want to pay for extra things like, a nice premium console setup or a side center console, side console setup, or cruise control or things like that on a subcompact tractor, you're just going to have to pay extra for that kind of stuff. So it's just like if you're buying a vehicle, right? What am I going to want as far as options go? And that's going to drive that cost up when you're doing that. Like this is, most of them, I don't know if they make a gear. You guys leave a comment below. Do they make a gear drive or a shuttle shift subcompact tractor? I'm not sure. But this one has the hydrostatic transmission, right? And it had the forward pedal and the back pedal. The Kubotas have the treadle pedal. Some have side-by-side pedals. So all your preferences will be factored into that as well, depending on what tractor manufacturer decides to use for controls of the transmission. I think all subcompact tractors will offer a detachable loader so that you can take that off when you're mowing grass, things like that. And so I think that's a standard option, probably for all of them. You also have to think about things like how tall is the roll bar. I mean, I think all of them should collapse so that you can get it inside a garage. Some of them may have a static or stationary ROPS system. So you have to think about how tall is my garage door so I can get the ROPS into that. And if it doesn't fold over, what considerations do I need? Do I need to buy a tent, a pop-up tent or car cover or pole barn or something like that to keep the tractor in if it will not fit into my garage? But you can get a lot of work done with these things, and if you buy a subcompact tractor, you'll really be surprised. Like, man, how have I lived without this thing my whole life, right? And it'll really knock your socks off of how much you can get done with such a little tractor, with such a powerful tractor. Because think about back in the day how big like the 8 ends were, uh, relatively speaking, right? They're not big in today's standards, but compared to this 22 horsepower is so much smaller and a smaller frame than like the old 8 ends that were like 25 horsepowers or whatever they were. Uh, so we've come a long way in our technology, haven't we? So just think about the progression of all that stuff. But these tractors are good investments. They get a lot done. Depending on, you can get a Kubota, you can get a small John Deere, you can get a small subcompact Massey. So most manufacturers make a subcompact option if you're going to want to go that route, because not this thing, like we have three tractors here, right? We have this 224, we have the 574 and the 754 and a skid steer. So between all of that, I can get anything that I want to do around my property. I can get it done with all those pieces of equipment. But if I didn't have as many acres as I did, and I just had the 5 acres or whatever, this is a solid option. Then you don't have to buy a zero turn mower, because you can use this as your lawnmower. Or if you have a zero turn mower and you end up buying a subcompact tractor, you can sell the zero turn mower and help pay off this tractor, or buy another attachment for it or something like that. So that will help cover some of those hidden costs that you have when you're operating slash owning this subcompact tractor. So there's things to consider that way for sure. So what do you guys think? What did I leave out? Because I know there's got to be some other type of expenses or additional costs that I'm leaving out of this video. So leave a comment below about the things that you've experienced. That, hey, don't forget, you've got to think about this, 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 and this, and it's that way the whole community learns together. Think about all you're going to think about when you're looking at tractors, and maybe a subcompact is good. I've seen people make Excel spreadsheets. I think I've seen people do pros and cons, weigh it out or whatever. So either way, a subcompact will be a good decision for you if the situation is right for you and your family, right? So do all your research, do all your homework, and pick the best subcompact tractor that fits your needs and your family needs and your budget, right? This is a good way to go. I appreciate you guys watching. Listen, read your Bible.